Can't start.
Sorry.
Can I undo my convening and just give my thought?
We don't want any junk stuff.
The board will be in order. Welcome to the October 19th meeting of the City of York Zoning Hearing Board. We have 5 cases this evening, and we'd like to finish all of them and not have to ask anybody to come back. So I'll be brief. I usually give a little welcome and explanation of what we're doing here. I think some of you have been here before. Most of you started your adventure in zoning, as I call it, with a letter or a phone conversation perhaps with the zoning officer, Monty, who is seated over at the city table. And you may have told him what it was you wanted to do with your property, and he told you whether or not it was legal under the city zoning ordinance. But if it wasn't strictly so, you could apply for a special exception and or a variance. And so if you chose to do that, which you apparently did because you're here, you met before the York City Planning Commission, which discussed you told them what you wanted to do, and they took a vote to recommend to us, the Zoning Hearing Board, that we approve or deny what you are asking for. So I always tell people, if you think you didn't do that well before the Planning Commission, don't give up. We're still here. And we value all the advice we get from the zoning officer and from the Planning Commission, but then we discuss and we make up our minds, trying, of course, to do what we think is best. And let me introduce who we are. Like I made reference to Monty Montanez over at the city table. And from my right, from your left, our members are Sina Jenkins, Adam Nugent, Nick Holman. Our vice chair is Elsbeth Bupp, and I am Franklin Williams, currently chair of the board. I'm probably getting too old for this, but I'm just having too much fun to give it up. Our solicitor is Andrew, what's your last name? Harold. And Karen Brown is our stenographer. And that's the cast. And the way we will hear your case, our solicitor will read in the particulars of your case, a description of it, and we will ask you to, whoever is going to be speaking for the case, and I think we're mostly lay people here tonight. I don't see any fancy suits. I mean lawyers. I'm sorry, Andy, did I say that?
No offense taken.
Anyway, we'll ask you to come to the podium and please speak to the room. You know, there's a time and place for pillow talk, but this is not it. Because if I can't hear and understand what you are saying, I'm not going to feel that I can vote for your application. And you don't have to shout, just speak close to, but not right up against the microphone. And by the way, our meeting is being streamed live on, I forget what, something, the city website, I guess, and it will be on file there so that if you want to, if once wasn't enough and you'd like to hear it all over again, you can find it somewhere in the YouTube files on the city website, I think. After you present your case, describe it. Now, we got your application. We have supporting material that you may have filed, and but we'd like to hear you tell about it. And we will try not to interrupt while you're speaking, but we will perhaps have some questions as you go, if there's something that we think we didn't quite understand what you were presenting. Then, and if I'm forgetting something, somebody will remind me as we go along. But I will ask if anyone in the audience has any questions for the applicant. And we usually just slide from questions into public comment. I will ask if anyone in the audience has any testimony to give about the application. And I can't go on right now without recognizing the grand dam of zoning and planning matters in the city of York, Miss Joan Bergesser.
Do I have to sign up to talk?
It's so good to see you.
Do I need to sign up to talk?
And our county recorder of
Register of wills.
deeds.
Register of wills.
Oh, Rick, is it Rick?
No, it's Brian.
Brian, hi. So we'll take testimony, then we'll be about ready to sum up. We'll ask the applicant or your spokesperson if you have anything you want to add, and we'll close the case and we'll discuss it, which I'm just a little bit more informal than some chairs have been, and we end up doing a little bit of our discussing as we go, but we'll kind of finish up discussing and then we'll vote. And all of this takes place right here in front of you. We don't use the secret room for it, maybe once every 3 or 4 years. If anyone has cell phones, would you please turn them either off or on to vibrate? We also love the William Tell Overture, but we would rather not have it in the middle of our meeting. Let me ask everyone to please stand and raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you give here this evening will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Let the record reflect that everyone has been duly sworn. Did I forget anything?
Speaking one at a time.
Very important, yes. I know we all brought our good manners with us, but please don't, please raise your hand if you want to speak. Don't just start while someone else is speaking, because our stenographer, I don't know how they do it, but she is taking down word for word what is said, but she can't do it if 2 people or let alone 3 or 4 are speaking at the same time. So let's try to cooperate with her. I think we pretty well covered it. Would you read in the first case?
Absolutely. The first case this evening is case number 37-2023-Z-SE. The applicant is Leona Riga, on behalf of the owner of the subject property, Human Life Services of 742 South George Street, York, Pennsylvania, which addresses the location of the subject property. The subject property is located in the UN1 Urban Mixed Residential Commercial Zoning District of the City of York. Applicant seeks a special exception to repair and renovate an existing carriage house into a community center. The application was reviewed by the planning staff of the City of York. The planning staff recommends approval of the requested special exception. The case was heard by the City of York Planning Commission on October 9th, 2023. By way of unanimous vote, the Planning Commission recommended approval of the requested special exception. The record before the board this evening consists of the application itself, a typed 1.5 page narrative entitled Human Life Services Special Exception, 6/28/2023, the deed to the subject property, 5 pages of photos of the subject property, a July 19th, 2023 letter from Zoning Officer McMillian, and 2 pages of proposed plans from Kinsley Properties.
Who's going to present the case? Would you both please give your name and address for the record?
Would you like our corporate address or the address that we're?
That's fine. Corporate address is fine.
Seth Knoll with Kinsley Properties, and it's 6259 Reynolds Mill Road, Seven Valleys, PA, 17360.
Leona Riga, 742 South George Street, York, PA.
What's your last name
Riga, R-E-G-A.
and your first name?
Leona,
Can you spell it for me, please?
L-E-O-N-A.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you.
So tonight, we are presenting on a special exception, as was said, for 742 South George Street. Human Life Services is the owner of the property, and they have a carriage house that has been behind the property and has been there since the property has been built. It has set basically vacant and underutilized on the property, so they are seeking through the zoning district that they're in, that they would, in the urban mixed-use residential commercial district, that this would be considered a community center. The use of this is for counseling services, that they are able to provide counseling services in a private area with the nature of some of the items that they need to discuss. These counseling services already do occur in the property, so it's moving a pre-existing use of the property out into the ancillary building. That building would be completely restored back to HARB standards, which we would have to go through and obviously get building permits and that type of thing. And as it's shown on the indicated, it would be handicap accessible. It would have one single-use bathroom because of the size and what ADA requirements are. It would have the counseling area and then a small storage area.
Do you have any idea about when the property was developed, the house and the garage built?
I'm not 100% certain, but it does look like a 19th century, turn of the century construction when you look at the characteristics that are there. So I would say somewhere between 1900 and probably 1915.
Just a quick description of your neighbors that live or work around you.
Right next to us is Red Oak Remodeling and Construction.
Yep.
Next to them is Bell Socialization Services. On the other side of us, there is a home that is rented with tenants, and then on the other side of that, there's a chiropractor on the corner.
Okay, and how do those folks feel about this project?
To my knowledge, they're okay with that.
Okay, is there anyone here that's opposed to this project specifically? Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions from the board?
How long has
How long has Human Life Services owned 742 South George Street?
The building was purchased in 1995.
And you gave that as your address. Is that your home?
No,
Is it occupied?
it
Do
is,
people live there?
no one lives there. It's not a residence.
Are all 3 stories in use?
Yes.
And how are they used?
They are utilized for counseling and material support for our clients. We also have a medical area where we provide ultrasounds and pregnancy testing and sexually transmitted disease testing.
So all the spaces, are all the rooms offices or medical offices?
So there is one medical room, one medical office. There are 4 administrative offices. There's a material support room on the 3rd floor. And then we have the large counseling room.
How many employees?
There are 9 total.
Where do the employees park?
We park in a parking lot behind our property.
Attached on,
Correct. Yes, it's owned by us.
how many parking spaces are
I bel-
there? If there,
I believe there's currently 12 off-street, and there is handicap parking as well, so that would be 13. We also have a driveway, and so usually 2 of the staff cars will park in the driveway, and then we also have street parking on George Street.
Do you find there are issues with parking?
We don't. The majority of our clients walk or they take the bus.
Okay.
Do you have any other annexes? I mean, is there any other,
We do not.
you do not?
You're welcome.
why would you, I'm just curious if you can give a little background on why you would want to convert that into, community center versus just, use it for parking or use it for storage or something like that? Why is, you feel that access around the back is, are you planning to have customers drive to this, or is this walk up, or what? I'm not sure how you,
The majority of our clients do walk to us. We do have some that take the bus. There's very, very few of them that drive. For us, it's a community need. We currently have a wait list of clients that we're unable to service in our care program with the educational resources and counseling that we provide. So this space would provide us the ability to expand our services and service more clients.
so would you expect to hire more employees then with this extra space?
We would not, no.
One of the other reasons for the space out there is within the current building, it is a converted house. The soundproofing and other things are not great. Most of the walls have no sound insulation in, and this also gives them a private space that they can go to for the nature of what they're doing. There's some things that people are just not comfortable with potentially having overheard by other persons, so it gives them a space where they can provide that type of service or counseling that is needed.
Any other questions?
when you say you're looking at the architect's drawings, bringing it up to HARP standards, things like the garage door that's on there and all that, is that all going away, or are you thinking on a wall, or, just describe
Sure,
kind of what.
absolutely. We want to put the roof, and as you see on the pictures, one of the old windows, the eyebrow window, is in disrepair. We want to put that back. We want to repoint the brick, put the windows back in that are missing. You can see that several of the windows are boarded up. We do have examples of the windows there, so they would be put back in a like-kind position. Again, so it would look appealing to the building and put it back into its original context. As far as the openings are concerned, that would be a glass and aluminum storefront type of a wall that would mimic what the old carriage house doors look like, so that we keep really as much as possible the original intent and nature, and take something that quite honestly is an eyesore in the neighborhood and turn it into a usable and maintained structure.
So the front door, if I'm looking at the drawings correctly, the garage door in the front, one of those
That is correct.
Seth, this is serviced by public utilities.
That is correct. It's all public utilities, public water, electric, gas. The electric would come off of the main house meter. There is, we would take a small service feed out there. You're not looking at very much amperage that's needed for that building. So it would be served off of all the utilities that are currently on the property.
And it's not high enough to impact any light or air of surrounding properties, I assume?
That's correct. We would not be changing the size of the structure as it exists today. It would be just a renovation in place.
Any plan for signage?
There would be no additional signage other than maybe something on the side of the building attached to it that just signifies that it is an educational resource building.
And that sign would probably be roughly the size of a sheet of regular paper.
But hopefully the house number would be a little bit larger.
Yes, that's correct. We would meet all of the fire and other ordinances as far as addressing and other concerns are. Absolutely.
Is there a sidewalk on that side of the street from Main Street to Main Street?
Yes.
Okay. So your clients wouldn't have to walk in the street to get there, they can walk on a sidewalk?
Correct, yes.
It's actually like a triple sidewalk.
Any other questions?
No questions.
Any comments? Sounds to me like a winner.
Was there anybody in the audience? I know you asked if there was any negative, but is there anybody in the audience who wants to speak on this project?
I'll move to approve a special exception to allow community center use as defined in section 1304.01-3.02.002 at 742 South George Street in the UM1 zoning district.
I second.
It's been moved by Mr. Nugent and seconded by Ms. Jenkins to approve the special exception. To renovate the carriage house into a community center. Calling for the vote, Ms. Jenkins? Jenkins, aye. Mr. Nugent?
Aye.
Nugent, aye. Mr. Holman?
Aye.
Holman, aye. Ms. Bupp?
Aye.
Bupp, aye. And Williams, aye. Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Have a good evening.
Okay.
Okay. The next case this evening is case number 39-2023-Z-V. The applicant and owner of the subject property is Jamie Smith of 224 West College Avenue, York, Pennsylvania 17401, which is also the location of the subject property. The subject property is located in the UN2 Urban Residential Neighborhood Zoning District of the City of York. Applicant seeks two variances to permit the subject property to be used as a rooming house. First, the applicant requests a dimensional variance to permit a rental room smaller than 250 square feet in size. Additionally, the applicant requests a use variance to permit a rooming house in the UN2 zone, a use which is not permitted by right in that zone. The application was reviewed by the planning staff of the City of York. The planning staff recommends approval of the request to have a rental room smaller than 250 square feet, but the planning staff recommends denial of the requested use variance. The case was heard by the City of York Planning Commission on October 9th, 2023. By way of unanimous vote, the Planning Commission recommended approval of the requested variances. The record before the board this evening consists of the application itself, an August 25th, 2023 letter to Mr. Smith, which was unsigned, I note. the deed to the subject property, 1 page of floor plans, a list of proposed rooms, an aerial view of the subject property, a page of floor plans, and 22 4x6 photographs of the subject property.
Thank you. Mr. Smith,
Yes, sir.
would you give your full name and address, please?
My name is Jamie DeAndre Smith. I live 224 West College Avenue, York, PA.
Thank you. Now, I'm going to start off saying that I'm a little bit underwhelmed by your, what did you call it, a list of rooms?
Well, I believe that I was that is what I referred to as the floor plan. There is also, if you look here, at just a listing of rooms in text format.
Right, okay.
That match the picture.
Well, I think this is a list of description of the photos. Is that a
Yes,
list?
sir. Yes, sir. Yes,
I
sir.
apologize.
That's all right. Okay. Now, my inclination would be to try to make do with this, but it's not entirely up to me. You do have approximate dimensions of the rooms, but in the narrative, and I apologize, but this is information that I think we need. In the narrative, I think I read that you are applying for 5 rooms.
Yes,
Is
sir.
that correct?
Yes, sir.
And I only saw two bedrooms in your hand-drawn illustration. So,
Frankly, there's 3.
I'm sorry?
There's
More
3.
pages,
There's
more
5.
pages.
It's on there, I'll show you, I'm sorry. There's a front bedroom, there's a second bedroom, there's the master bedroom.
Oh, right, okay.
And there's also the attic.
Okay, so, thank you. What do you propose? And I've got no problem with this. I mean, if the roof is dry, yeah, good roof over it, that attic, I mean, the rest of the house looks really nice. It's a little bit modest from the outside, but so is mine. What use do you propose in the attic?
Mr. Williams, I plan to, if possible, house 2 people in the attic, as well as 1 maybe in each room downstairs. The roofing is strong. I had a little work done on the shed roof. Other than that, the roof that protects the whole home is very strong. And I had a washer and dryer room built in the property. I have off-street I was going to go through the pictures, if you may. I was going to go through the pictures, start with the first picture. This was the sky view. The first picture would be the sky view, if everyone sees that. The first picture would be the sky view. The second picture, first of all, on the side of the house would be off-street parking. It's parking from the corner of my house, maybe, I say, 15 cars could fit on the side of my house.
Is that in a lot? Is that an empty lot?
well,
where they would park, or you're talking about on the street?
No, this is off street. Miss Elizabeth, I don't really know the proper name to call it, an empty lot. When I bought the property, there were signs up, no parking. So if my neighbors say, we'll pay you $200, whatever, so I wanted to take the signs down. Mr. Ron, the guy that works for Green Oaks, he said, no, if you want to allow them to park, let them park there. We usually use that. But if you have to park there, it's at least 15 parking spots. 15 people's not going to live in your home, so it's accessible. So I don't know if I would call it a parking lot, but Stewart and Tate Park's there, Kinsley Park's there. If they're doing work in the neighborhood, I mean, so I was going to use it for off-street parking for anyone who drove, who stayed in my home. At least, I have at least 7 parking spaces there. And if that's not allotted, then between 341 and 373 Oak Lane, there's more off-street parking down the street. So,
Who owns that property on the corner, the empty lot?
say that again.
Who owns the empty lot, what you're calling the parking lot there? Is that?
Next to my home, that's part of my property. Yes.
Well, let's verify that. Okay, thank you.
So, yeah, that, and if that, because sometimes, I came out of my home and, sometimes the police would be sitting there and I would ask, need a water or something, because, just being kind. And the other day I came out, Stewart and Tate, all their cars was parked there, so nothing could fit there. And the guy said, we'll be gone around 3 or whatever, but I usually go to work 2:30, whatever, so it really didn't matter. But that's at least 15 cars could fit there from the corner of my house going back further down Oak Lane. So that would be considered off-street parking. And the second picture is a picture of my front staircase leading up the stairs. The third picture would be a part of my front dining room, half of my front dining room. And the fourth photo would be the whole living room. And the fifth picture would be the downstairs restroom. The sixth would be part of an eating area where the refrigerator is. The seventh picture would be part of the kitchen. The eighth will be the whole kitchen. The ninth picture is the laundry room I had built in case they wanted to wash clothes. The 10th picture would be, there's a back staircase that leads upstairs from my kitchen. It's a picture of the back staircase. That back staircase, when you get upstairs and you make a right, this is the master bedroom. The picture after the master bedroom is is a balcony outside of the master bedroom. After the master bedroom, there's the hallway, and this would be the second picture across from the master bedroom on the right. And then here's the full bathroom upstairs. The next picture would be the third bedroom. The next picture would be leading into the upstairs attic. The following picture would be a very small picture of the attic. The next one would be a very small picture of the attic. The next picture would be a closet in the attic, and this is the window in the attic. And another picture of, as you see, there's a porta potty outside of my house on the corner. From there, that stop sign leading all the way back in the direction of where the blue car is are all parking spaces.
Thank you, that was very helpful.
Thank you, sir.
So you envision you would occupy what is named on the diagram of the rooms, the master bedroom would be yours?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Well, if it doesn't have, I'm a very small person, Mr. Williams. I'm very small, so I could take this, I could take the smallest bedroom. That's what I was thinking. Maybe I may get someone a lot bigger than me, may need a little more room. So I was thinking about maybe taking the smallest bedroom. That's what I was thinking about. I'm not going to actually tell you, yeah, well, I'm not thinking about, because that's the biggest room in the house. That room and the front bedroom are two of the biggest rooms. So a guy maybe around Mr. Adams' size, maybe tall, might need a lot more room. So.
And you'll live, this is going to be your full-time residence?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Have you ever done anything like this before?
Yes, I have. I was a counselor for CEC Community Center in Chester, PA. They call it a counselor, but I thought I was more as a probation officer. I stayed on the grounds. I took the guys to meetings. I gave them their medication. I did that for around 2.5 years until I slipped and fell and had 4 or 5 slit discs in my back, but yes, working. But these guys were, I don't know the proper term to use, they were under medication. So it was more a thing where as though sometimes they would get too excited. Sometimes they would really need, some attention need to be talked to. But yes, I've dealt with I've been in the area and fields of this before. Yes, I have, Mr. Williams.
How long have you lived in the neighborhood?
I've been living in York now close to 10 years.
Okay.
I moved here, married my wife, and I've been living there since May.
Same, okay. May of this year, you've been living at
Yes,
this
sir.
property?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Is there anyone here that's opposed to this project? Okay.
So you do, you do understand that this is kind of a serious undertaking?
Yes, I do.
mean, the number is not as high as, we've had people come in wanting as high as 12 rooms. And I said, that's not a residential subject, that's an institutional subject, which is probably why the city closed that property down. They were tired of the police having to visit 2 or 3 times a week. But now, you plan to work away from home?
I work at Stauffer's Biscuits, Mr. Williams. I'm a machine operator. I work from, say, 2:52 to 10:52. I'm working now. My wife came to pick me up. I'm going back to work after the meeting. So my job currently, they're trying to put me in another position, whereas though I wouldn't have to work as many days a week. I don't know if I'm going to take it. I really don't. I'm going to be honest with you. But I'll be there doing the hours, 7 days a week, 30 days a month, 31 days a month, between the hours of 11 at night to 3 p.m. Or 11 p.m. at night, 11 p.m. at night till 3 p.m. the next day. If I take this offer for this job, I'll be there maybe 7 more hours during the day. I don't know if I'm going to take the position. It pays more money, but I don't think that I'm gifted in that area. So, I don't know. But I'll be there I'll be home at least 16, 17 hours a day.
My only concern was not any more than I felt I needed to know to feel comfortable and to feel confident that you know that you're going to have to run things. You're going to have to be in charge.
Yes, sir.
Even and I think there's a lot of wrongful stereotyping about homeless people. They are not all mentally ill, but some are. But even the best of us, once in a while, don't get along quite as well with other people as we should and could. And don't even get me started on the rest of the world. But so, you would probably need to have some rules posted, for when people move in, and just some do's and don'ts.
Yes, sir.
Some problems are better prevented than solved once they occur. So that was why I was questioning.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Williams. I have in my computer bag, I didn't bring it along, but I have several things that I have written up. I mean, from no drug usage, no company, TV goes off at a certain time, keep things in the proper order, no entering anyone's room without, their approval. I have several things in line before you basically sign to come into, into the home. Now, if certain things are violated, then we'll take other measures as far as disciplinary action. I understand definitely where you need to become, because some of us as people, we just don't follow orders well. We just, we don't follow direction well, so I understand, and I thank you for that. I've thought about that as well.
The third floor that you have, is the ceilings slanted up there?
In the attic,
Yes, sir.
on the corner.
That's on the corner, it's
It's
slanted.
on the corner slanted, yes,
So a
ma'am.
person would be able to just walk
Well,
upright?
yes, Mr. Adam could walk up there, no problem without ducking.
Okay.
Yes, sir, yes, ma'am.
Hi, I just wanted to reconfirm, you're asking to rent 5 rooms to single people, and I guess I follow in line with Franklin. Which are the 5 rooms? Is this the layout? I can't figure out what the 5 rooms are
I'm
on
so sorry,
this.
that was the best that I could do.
One at a time,
Oh.
everybody,
I don't
sorry.
think there's 5 rooms. I was gonna bring up the same question, because I think you're trying to say the attic is gonna be 2 rooms. And right now, that was gonna be a question for the solicitor, is, since there's not 5 rooms really, there's not 5 bedrooms in this place, can we approve something that says 5-room, rooming house? Because it just doesn't seem like there is. Now, if you tell the board that potentially you're gonna take the attic and make it into 2 rooms, then there's 5 rooms. But right now, there's not 5 rooms, in my opinion, in your floor plan.
That was the projection, the attic for 2 people.
I mean, you can't just say there's 2 people in a room and that's considered 2 rooms.
Say that again?
You originally said there will be 2 people potentially up in the attic. That's not 2 rooms still, that's just 2 people in 1 room.
So I worded it incorrectly.
Well, it's still not 2 rooms, that's what my point is. So there's not 5 rooms to say that we're willing to, as a board, give you a permission slip to have a rooming home with
Right.
5 rooms, because there's not 5 rooms to.
Well, it's the request for the variance is not on the number of rooms, it's on the size of the rooms. So,
Okay, but
Well-
still, the terminology for a rooming house, I think there is terminology that says 5 rooms.
Monty, have you looked into this?
Top of that.
Yes, the terminology is normally it says up to 6, but from what we was understanding, he was going to make the attic into 2 rooms so 2 people can be up there.
And is that where we would end up with would those also be less than 250 square feet?
That's one thing we never
Didn't get
found
into.
out.
Okay.
And in,
Every room is less than, except for the top floor, which the attic is 441 square feet.
So, yeah, that would also be less than when it's cut in, you're right, right.
Right. And again, I don't know what the definition of a bedroom is, but in most places, the definition of a bedroom is it has a closet. There's only 1 closet up there right now. So alterations have to be made to say that he's gonna have a 5-room.
Well, I think what you could do specifically is you could limit the number of rooms that could be under 250 square feet. Does that make sense? So if you're uncomfortable with the number, you could approve, I believe, a number that you are comfortable with.
Okay.
So in other words, and that would then, that would therefore limit, I think by virtue,
'Cause
The
none of them
numbers.
None of them are 250 square feet.
correct.
And then the second question I was gonna have for the solicitor is this follow the deed? If we approve this, does this become a rooming house? And should we or should we not take it away from, if he
Yes.
sells the house?
Yes, it runs with the land, and so, again, in the past, what we have done with some of these rooming houses is you have put the condition, or you have asked the applicants to consent to the condition that when they move out, if they move out, when they sell the property, that it reverts. I have my doubts as to whether or not that would pass muster, but we've seen it work in the past where they have voluntarily done that. So it is at least, assuming that the person is true to their word, it has been effective in the past.
And I think I would be interested in pursuing that here, because I'm guardedly optimistic and impressed with the applicant, but the property is borderline in size. I mean, I'd like to see a rooming house application sometime where the rooms are closer to standard size and everything, but I know that we can't snap our fingers and make that happen. And I remember a rooming house application we had some years ago, and the applicant said she apologized to somebody who was looking at one of the smaller rooms, and he said, "Ma'am, when you're moving from under a bridge, you don't need a 20 by 30 foot room." You know, the solution to the homeless situation isn't going to look impressive to some of us who live one or two or three people to a large house.
Well said, Franklin. I have a question about the parking, though. I was looking at I'm reading the deed, and it says that you are bounded on the west by property now or late of Philip Campora. And while there is no property there, I wonder if there was a house there, because it doesn't say that you are bounded by the road. And there is a bit of an alley there with curb cuts. And if you own that, I would assume it would say you were bounded by that little alley. And I don't know how we verify that without a survey. So I unless there's more to the deed, because we only have the first page of it. So as far as providing the parking, what is directly behind the house? Can you
Behind my house?
access the backyard?
Me, from my home?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. I can access my back home. It's very long. My backyard is as long as
Yeah.
those parking areas are. If that was a problem, Miss Elizabeth, as far as that parking, I have off-street parking from 341 to 373 Oak Lane as well. Off-street parking as well. There's I believe, I don't know the proper term for it, Miss Elizabeth, loft apartments that they just built over there off of, by the creek.
Go Candy Factory.
Oh, exactly. So outside of that, there's a gate, right? There's off-street parking from, I believe it's Princess Street, that corner. The people who live in that new loft apartment, their cars are gated in. But there's off-street parking on the side of there, as well as a parking lot starting from 341 going all the way down to 373. And all that parking is utilized from people from us on College Avenue and Oak Lane.
At Oak Lane's the little small street.
Exactly, Miss Elizabeth.
Okay.
Exactly. So, and
I was going to ask, is your question about that space?
Yes.
That has been utilized as parking for probably the last 20 years.
Okay.
I'd say at least the last 20 years. That has been nothing but parking along that strip where you see that car parked.
So I know he said he owns it. I was just really questioning whether the deed whether the deed says he owns it, or maybe it's just city vacant property.
Was it McMill?
The house that he currently lives in, my brother was raised in that house. It was never a house on the side of there. If it was before I was even born.
Okay.
And that's been like that ever since I was a kid.
And it's always gone with that house.
Yeah, so far as I can tell, and from what Mr. Smith says, parking doesn't look like it's going to be an issue for you at all. My only concern would be, should we grant this variance, is your crew's going to go out and inspect and make sure that there are 5 rooms, if he's renting 5 rooms, correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I'm more concerned too, about the number of rooms and the size of the rooms, than I am about the outside parking, because we've had almost every applicant in a rooming house application point out to us that not too many of his or her applicants to rent a room are going to come with a car, which is, I think, an advantage to this property, because it's not far from the transportation center, from the bus center. It's not far from the food bank, it's not far from city services. You know, a friend of mine said we should, and this is a good-hearted person, very concerned about the city, said that we should spread out the poverty. And I said, well, that sounds good, but, you know, a poor person who may not own a car offered a nice home out 6 miles northeast of Dover, is going to look around and say, well, it's nice here, but how do I meet my needs? What transportation is there? And, you know, being real about it, location can be important too, for this type of use. Would you, Mr. Smith, would you consider if we felt we could approve something, would you be willing to have a condition attached that the zoning approval only runs with your ownership of the property?
Explain that a little more, Mr. Umlord.
Basically, what he's asking is, would you agree to a condition that typically a variance will, what we call run with the land, meaning that it will, once that variance is approved, it will be a part of the land moving forward, okay? What they are saying is if you were to sell the property, if you were to leave the property, would you be willing to give up the rooming house use and revert it back to a single-family home for any future owners?
That's what I thought I would have to do. At the last meeting, that's what they said I would have to do, and I agreed to that. Yes.
Perfect. Thank you.
Well, yes, if I was to sell a home or the property, anything, it would go back to
A single.
what it was, single-family home. Yes, 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 sir.
All right, thank you.
Maybe we didn't read the planning commission minutes carefully enough.
We got the answer, so we're good.
There we go.
Okay.
Any other discussion?
And I think some of these other concerns that we've been dealing with, I think, you know, once in a while, I feel that something is a work in progress, but if I feel that it's in the hands of somebody whose intentions are good,
Right.
then I'm more hopeful than somebody who comes in and acts like he knows everything that is going to happen, even though he's never been in the situation before. And Mr. Smith isn't trying to pull anything over our eyes and make it sound as though he knows exactly how everything, I mean, if you get into it and you find that 3 rental rooms are enough, I mean, that it's enough for you to keep track of and keep control over. You certainly wouldn't have to go with 5, and I'm not quite sure you would be, because you're going to be occupying one of the rooms.
Yes, sir.
And that makes me feel confident about the project. That's a big part of it.
You said you and your wife are going to be occupying one
Well,
of
my
the
wife,
rooms?
she has her own house.
She has her own house?
Yes.
So, okay. So you may or may not live together in the house?
No, my wife, all right, my wife, may I?
It's
All right.
all right. It's personal.
My wife, she has her own home. She stays with me sometime.
Okay.
But this is the line of work that I want to give in because I used to come home every day from work and the guy used to be on my step sleep at 37 West Market Street. And I talked to him one day, smelled like liquor, reeking, whatever. And he said, man, I'm homeless. I have an alcohol problem, this, that, and the third. And I would feed him sometime, this, that, and the third. And it came to my mind, this might be your calling. And I just, and I moved here with her. And she kept our house, and I got me a house. I say, this is what I want to follow. How can I get in this? And I met Monty, and he gave me the route, and this is what I want to do. I want to help some people. Maybe, hopefully, decrease the homeless rate and any other, just help. That's all I want to do is help, if I can.
Okay.
So we don't live together. No, we
Okay.
don't. We currently don't live together. She has her own home, and that's my house.
Okay.
Yes.
And I think we've all known married couples who probably shouldn't have been together 24/7 because it didn't work out well. Not saying that about you.
I understand, Mr.
and
Williams.
the
You're quite fine.
nice lady, but I've known such couples. We read about them in the paper too sometimes, unfortunately. Okay,
Do we have to, for the terminology in a rooming house, what the applicant has applied for is a rooming house with 5 rooms, that's what it states. And all the rooms are less than 250 square feet. So going back to what you were saying, how do we
So
codify that?
I mean, I think really what you need to do is what you would be doing is you would be waiving the requirement that the rental rooms are at least 250 square feet, okay? Because none of them are gonna meet that.
Right.
However, in addition to the condition of reverting to a single-family home, you could also place a condition that it shall be no more than 5 rooms. That would be a reasonable condition that you could also place, okay? So in other words, you could say that we're not gonna allow him to expand to 6 rooms, we're gonna keep it at 5, to ensure that, at the very least, the rooms go no smaller. Does that make sense?
Could we say 4 rooms? Because frankly, I don't think you have enough room for 5 right now.
Well, first of all, I mean, it might be, the answer is yes, I believe that would be a reasonable condition. It might not hurt to ask the applicant if he'd be willing to do that first, but
Smith, I just feel like some of the rooms are really tiny. I mean, you got 10 by 10. I mean, your laundry room's 9.5 by 9.5. Just tiny.
and, but if he's going to be occupying one of the 5 rooms, then that would only leave 4 rental rooms.
Right, exactly.
And would these conditions that we're considering, should they be attached to the room size variance or the use variance?
they can be conditions of any of the approvals. I mean, I think that what you would do is, well, for one thing, if you don't approve the use variance, this is all for naught, okay? If you deny the use variance, it doesn't matter how big the rooms are because he cannot have a rooming house and so he cannot have rental rooms, okay? So I think that's the threshold question. So it probably makes sense to attach the conditions to that threshold question.
That is the use.
Correct.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions or comments or?
I also see 4 rooms because the attic doesn't have, I mean, I guess he could cut it, but right now the attic is 1 room with 1 door. And so to have a separate room, you have to have separate doors. And so you'd have to build, and that attic was also with dormered walls. I don't think you can make that into two rooms. Well, I mean, they'd be very, very tiny, but, so I only count 4. So I would feel comfortable like approving 4. I don't know how anybody, and they don't have to be the 250, I would waive that, and that's how I'm feeling, so.
Monty, in any case, you have to inspect and make sure that it is a proper room, correct?
Yes, they would.
So I'm okay with 5 as long as our city crew is going in and making sure that it's 5 rooms at the time of rental.
Question, if we would say the 4 rooms and we're saying about the 3rd floor is just 1 room, could there still be 2 occupants in that room?
Yeah, I mean, rooming house allows 2 occupants per room.
So you
And
could
that was more than
say the 4 rooms, but then you still would be able to rent 2 to that third floor.
Yes, ma'am.
But
Okay.
if you agreed, if they put that stipulation and said, we're gonna do a stipulation of only allowing you to do 4 rooms, you still would be able to get that second occupant on that third floor.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, ma'am. And thank you for explaining, yes.
If that makes you all feel more comfortable to say the 4 rooms.
Yeah, you might
Each
have a
room
couple.
can have up to 2.
Right. So, I mean, if that would make you more comfortable as far as the numbers.
Makes me feel great.
I'm glad you gave me a smile.
Third floor is tiny, so I've seen, yeah, it's
Would someone like to
Alright.
put a motion together on variance number 2, I guess?
39.
or
How about I'm gonna give it a stab, I might need some help.
on the use?
I'm gonna go with the use first. In the case of 39-2023-Z-V for the property at 224 West College Avenue, I move that we approve a variance to allow a rooming house with as defined in section 1304.02-7.17 for a maximum of 4 rooms.
Did you-
And to have the variance conditioned that the approval runs with the ownership of the house. Period? It's okay?
With the current owner.
Current owner, runs with the current owner.
So 4 rooms, correct?
4 rooms.
Okay.
And I second it.
Okay, it's been moved by Ms. Bupp, seconded by Ms. Jenkins, to approve the variance to allow the rooming house as defined. Calling for the vote, Ms. Jenkins?
Aye.
Jenkins, aye. Mr. Nugent?
Aye.
Nugent, aye. Mr. Holman?
Aye.
Holman, aye. Ms. Bupp?
Aye.
Aye. And Williams, aye.
Second part, in the case of 39-2023-Z-V for the property at 224 West College, I move to approve a variance to waive the requirement that each room be larger than 250 square feet as defined in section 1304.02-7.17.B1.
I'll second that. So it has been moved by Ms. Bupp and seconded by Williams to approve a variance to allow rooms smaller than 250 square feet. Calling for the vote, Ms. Jenkins.
Aye.
Jenkins, aye. Mr. Nugent.
Aye.
Nugent, aye. Mr. Holman.
Nay.
Holman, nay. Ms. Bupp.
Aye.
Bupp, aye. And Williams, aye.
Thank you.
Good luck, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, board. Thank you very much.
Good luck.
Good luck.
The next case on the agenda is case number 40-2023-Z-V/SE. However, it's my understanding that the applicant has submitted a time waiver request, and therefore, it's my recommendation that we table that this evening. No objection, I assume?
Without objection.
Okay, so then we will move on to the next case, which is case number 41-2023-Z-V/SE. The applicants and owners of the subject property are Ana Encarnacion and Luis Vasquez of 936 West Locust Street, York, Pennsylvania, 17401. The subject property is located at 315 East Poplar Street, which address is located in the UN2 Urban Residential Neighborhood Zoning District of the City of York. Applicant seeks several variances and a special exception to permit a multifamily dwelling conversion from a different use. First, the applicant seeks a variance from the definition of multifamily dwelling conversion from a different use to permit a multifamily dwelling conversion from a different use other than a single-family residence. Next, the applicant seeks a variance to permit up to 2 dwelling units in the subject property, which exceeds the allowable density requirements set forth in the City of York zoning ordinance. The applicant further seeks a variance to permit a conversion in a property which has not been vacant for at least 2 years as required by the zoning ordinance. Finally, the applicant seeks a special exception to permit a multifamily dwelling conversion from a different use, a use permitted by special exception in the UN2 zoning district. The application was reviewed by the planning staff of the City of York. The planning staff recommends denial of the requested variance related to the definition of multifamily dwelling conversion from a different use. The planning staff recommends approval of the remaining variances, and the planning staff recommends approval of the special exception, subject to approval of all other variances being first approved. The case was heard by the City of York Planning Commission on October 9th, 2023. By way of unanimous vote, the Planning Commission recommended approval of the requested variances and the requested special exception. The record before the board this evening consists of the application itself, an aerial view of the subject property, a page of floor plans, 22 pages of photos of the subject property, and an October 19th, 2023 letter from the Redevelopment Authority of the City of York.
Thank you.
Hello?
Now, Miss Anna, you and I chatted for a few minutes just about the neighborhood, not about your particular case. But from our chat, I want to ask you to try to speak up because you're very soft-spoken.
Okay.
So we'd like to hear, would you tell us how you and your husband came to buy this property?
Let's just first ask for her name, so.
Oh,
we get that on the record.
sorry. Would you give your full name and address for the record?
Do you need my address where I live or the address that for the house?
Where you live?
Oh, okay. My name is Ana Encarnacion, and I live 936 West Locust Street, York, PA 17401.
Karen, do you need the spelling on the last name?
Please.
It's ENCARNACION.
Thank you.
And it's, am I correct that it's Anna with one N?
Yes,
A-N-A?
correct.
Okay.
So me and my husband, we buy the house before COVID, 2019 on the selling house at George City. So when we buy the house and then we pay the money, we go to the house and then we notice like how it was the people who live over there, they start like prepare for like 2 units and then they lost the house and then we came and then we just finished the job. We make it nice. My father, he made the kitchen and everything, and then right now we rent to two mom. They live over there, and then we To be honestly, we don't, me and my husband, we don't know that we had to like do the process, like we had to go to the George City and request for 2 units until the George City call us and let her know that we had to do the paperwork and make the request. That's why I'm here.
And how did you find out that you had to have occupancy for a 2-unit?
The city, they call my husband and me. They noticed like the house, like 2 family live over there, and we had to request to make it like a 2-unit, and that's why we did the process. We go and ask what we had to do, and we fill it out everything, and I'm here.
Thank you.
Monty, do you know, I was having a little bit of trouble understanding from the applicant. And I'm not seeing in our material, maybe I missed it. Was there a deed?
I did not see a deed in this. I think this is the one where I did not see a deed.
Right, okay, good, I'm glad, for once it wasn't that I missed something. I believe you told me that you bought the property at an auction or a sale.
Yes, correct. And then when you buy those house over there, they not tell you the conditions in the house. You're not allowed. They only when you go over there and you let's say like subscribe and you pay a fee, they give you a list of all the house like it's going to be on the sale auction, and then but they only provide you the address, and then you only allowed to see outside the house, but you cannot go inside. It's like a surprise when you buy. It's like a surprise. You don't know what is the condition of the house or anything. It's like a rest. And then when we buy the house it was already like set up for like 2 units, but I guess like they not finished the job. I guess the person, I don't know what happened.
What kind of condition was the house in when you bought it?
When we buy, it was in good condition. It was only like mess, a lot of trash. But when we start clean it up, and then we see they start like running the plumbing. Did I say right? The plumbing, and they start like make it like a 1 bathroom on the first floor, and then we already know like they start like separately, but they not finish.
So it was a construction project unfinished,
Yes.
and your family bought, and then it looks like, from what I can tell from the photos, it's finished pretty nicely. Is it finished now?
Yeah, this is the present picture right now. So what we did, my father, he made the kitchen. He made all that with his hands in my house. And then we just finished like put the floor, only the floor, paint, and the kitchen. That's it. The rest, it was already over there.
Thank you.
So do they have their own meters,
All made?
like for electric?
Oh,
Do they have separate meters?
no, it's only one.
If you look at the one
piece of paper in your document that says parcel on the top, and you read the bottom, it all talks about, you know, the assessed value, the sale date was November 17th, 2020, sale price. It also shows the deed book dates and the new owners, so this is the typical piece of paper you do get for a city sale of a property.
Yes, this is the exactly we got, and they provide you the address, but that's it.
Right.
You cannot go inside. You cannot see. I guess that's not allowed.
So you had no indication that it had two apartments,
No,
basically?
you
in it?
cannot
Oh,
see anything.
Okay, thank you.
And then you don't want to like go inside and have problem with the police or anything. Just that's not your property yet.
Nick, where were you seeing that information?
On this paper right here,
It's on the aerial.
Oh, okay.
so look in the bottom corner, it tells you the sales price, tells you when it was sold, who the new owners are. So there isn't a deed, but there is a piece of paper that talks about the deed, and that they are the legal owners.
And there, go ahead.
Oh, Monty, can you talk about the parking? Because I see one section here, it says that they are short one spot in the rear, no spaces for additional spots. Does that mean they have two and they need to have three?
At first, they had two because they had the garage tore down, so it was two where the garage was, and then they made like a parking with gravel and everything. So they took out half of their yard, so somebody can park in the yard, and then the two pull up in the regular driveway.
Thank you. I'm not a fan of the serial parking.
If you want more picture, a little more clear, I have it on my phone.
That's okay, thanks.
You want to see?
I'm okay.
Oh, okay.
He explained it.
Okay.
And the interior renovation is beautiful, so
Oh, thank you.
very nice.
My father make the how you say, the cabinet of the chicken.
Very nice.
He do it by his hands. Thank you.
And you live on the west side of town, so
I live on West Locust Street.
so do you you're the main manager of the property as the landlord?
Yes, me and my husband.
Okay. Do you
But
have any
me.
other? Yeah,
Mostly it's me.
mostly you. Okay. And you're lucky you have, it looks like you have two clean tenants because the
Oh my
apartments are
God,
beautiful and
yes.
clean, so that's lucky.
Yes. They are like single mom. They live over there with her daughters.
Very
So,
nice. That's perfect. That's perfect. Very good.
And your tenants now, were they there when you bought the property?
No, it was
found
the
them.
house. It was empty.
Oh, it was empty, okay. Okay.
It was a sheriff's sale, basically a tax sale. Look at the price of the place.
Tax sale.
Yeah, okay.
Great.
I guess like they do it now online. Maybe they provide picture, but I don't know.
So you took a risk, and it looks like you turned it into something positive.
Yeah.
So congratulations.
Thank you.
Do you have any other properties? Did you buy any other properties?
Like that?
Mm-hmm.
No, that's my first house.
Okay.
Buy like that. The other house my second house, I was living over there, and then the landlord, he say, this is too much for me. I want to selling to you. Can you buy for me? I say, okay, yes. And I know the condition of the house because I was living over there. And in my house that I live is I buy on mortgage
Okay.
on the, I say like
You said it right.
on the mortgage, like it's a good condition. Not a surprise.
And now you know zoning, and now you know the zoning process too. So if
Yes,
you buy
this-
more, you know how to.
Yes, now I got the experience.
Okay. I don't have any questions. I'm good.
No questions.
I'll do it, unless somebody else wants to do it.
Go ahead.
Is there
I don't have
anyone in
any.
the audience
Oh, yeah, that's a good
Good one.
question.
who Well, it's my turn.
Good, yes.
Is there anyone in the audience with any questions for this applicant? Or any testimony to give regarding the property? Hearing none, I think we can close, and you did well.
Thank you.
I have no real concerns. I mean, I think it's a winner.
I think Elspeth's ready to continue on.
Unless you wanna make the motion. Do you wanna move?
In the case of application number 41-2023-Z-V-SE regarding the property at 315 East Poplar Street, I move that we approve the variance to the definition required in the ordinance for conversion to multifamily under the, I'm getting,
Yeah, there's this. Makes it easy.
There he is, next page.
that's better, yeah. As defined in section 1304.01 1.02.002A.
I'll second.
It's been moved by Williams, seconded by Adam?
Yep.
By Mr. Nugent to approve the variance to the definition of multifamily conversion. Calling for the vote, Ms. Jenkins?
Aye.
Jenkins, aye. Mr. Nugent?
Aye.
Nugent, aye. Mr. Holman?
Aye.
Holman, aye. Ms. Bupp?
Aye.
Bupp, aye. And Williams, aye. Regarding the property at 315 East Poplar Street, I move that we approve the dimensional variance for multifamily conversion from, found in section 1304.01-1.02.002. I guess that's enough.
I'll second.
Was it seconded? By, it's been moved by Williams, seconded by Mr. Nugent to approve the variance to the dimensional requirement. Calling for the vote, Ms. Jenkins?
Aye.
Jenkins, aye. Mr. Nugent?
Aye.
Nugent, aye. Mr. Holman?
Aye.
Holman, aye. Ms. Bupp?
Aye.
Bupp, aye. And Williams, aye. Regarding the property at 315 East Poplar Street, I move that we approve a variance to waive the special exception provision that the property must have been vacant for 2 years.
I second.
Still Adam?
Yeah.
It's been moved by Williams, seconded by Mr. Nugent to approve the variance, to waive the requirement of 2 years vacant. Calling for the vote, Ms. Jenkins?
Aye.
Jenkins, aye. Mr. Nugent?
Aye.
Nugent, aye. Mr. Holman?
Aye.
Holman, aye. Ms. Bupp?
Aye.
Bupp, aye. And Williams, aye. And regarding the property at 315 East Poplar Street, I move that we approve the special exception to allow the multifamily use as defined in section 1304.01-1.02.002.
I second.
Seconded. It's been moved by Williams, seconded by Mr. Nugent to approve the special exception to allow the multifamily use. Calling for the vote, Ms. Jenkins?
Aye.
Jenkins, aye. Mr. Nugent?
Aye.
Nugent, aye. Mr. Holman?
Aye.
Holman, aye. Ms. Bupp?
Aye.
Bupp, aye. And Williams, aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Steal the paper back. You have one of these too, I think, don't you?
What?
That's yours.
Oh, sorry. Thank you.
You okay, or need a break?
Did you ask Karen if she needs a break?
She said she is okay,
She's okay?
but this may be, looks like there's some folks here, so you wanna take it?
It's
I think I maybe need a break.
And let's take a break.
Then let's take a break. We're doing fairly well time-wise, and let's take about a 5-minute break. Some of us have to deal with the issues of an aging prostate. That can be off the record.
Carmelo. Ah, crap. I wanted to tell her about our neighbor. I'll just stick something in her door. We have a neighborhood association. I was gonna tell her about our neighborhood association since they're in our neighborhood association, Old Town East. That Poplar Street house is just 2 blocks down. My mom is sitting in the hospital losing her mind. You're gonna have to. You're gonna have to. I mean, 7 calls in like an hour, and I mean, it was like, I have to turn off my phone because it'll, I mean, just, there were like, she's sitting in a room with a phone, but I'll probably have to give her help. A room in her. She's like, really
Had the opposite effect with
losing. Yeah,
she just wouldn't call anybody.
she would not.
She would not call anybody, but she would just complain about everything to the nurses. That is
More,
really kind of crazy.
yeah, that's gonna be,
Like, what's that little boy doing in the corner over there? He's just looping.
yeah. It's when I turn the phone on after this meeting, it's gonna be wild.
Right?
She's in the hospital, she wants out badly. So. Yeah. Yeah, she got an infection and she's got heart failure. She's had heart failure, but they're really trying, like, it's worse and they're trying to manage it. And she wants to take off her clothes. It's really bad. We put her in Sunday night because she was, her O2 was, I found her in her chair and I'm like, that's not good. And then, but she really was out. It's been a crazy day. I'm not turning the phone on. Not right now. Deal with that later. Yeah.
Wild in front of City Hall.
Huh?
Purple lights.
Yeah? Oh, in the front of the building. Yeah, it's for something. No, I think there is, I'm not sure what it's in, it's in memory of, or it's a thing for. It's some, I'm not sure which.
I kind of remember reading something about a purple. Looked right out there. It was impressive.
Well, this is gonna be. This is gonna look ugly. You know, it's not the corner unit. 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 Which I thought it was, but it's not the corner unit. is a landlocked.
Why did they show a picture in the corner?
Well,
Oh, it's this one?
yeah,
Okay, so it's that guy.
not the monster corner unit. The monster corner unit is fine. That's very landlocked. I thought so too.
I thought it was one whole building.
Uh-huh.
Thank you for the clarification.
Yeah, because we were talking about that house. So I had to go double check this out. There's literally no access. I don't think there's even nothing around the back because there are all those garages here. So, I don't know. Yeah, it's a shame. I mean, well, it's not a shame, it is what it is, but, you know, it's infill. It's what they do. You know, they build all these houses on the block with a space between them. You know, 100 years ago, there was a space between each. And then somewhere along the line, they filled in spaces between the houses.
It had to do with something, some of the back lots that we did a little research on. The lots that were sold as half lots, that's what they're called. And
Okay,
build on it
okay.
before you could.
It's like my little,
Yeah. So that's why we have a house attached to ours now. Because ours was originally one of the lot like my home. There's pictures of our house
without the corner property.
with nothing on,
Nothing on the other
nothing
side.
around. It was the only house there, nothing there. The
Right, right.
barn was in the back.
Right.
And it was one of the last houses going out of East Market
At that
at that junction.
age and time for that, like 17.
1793.
1793? Holy crap.
That's how old our house is. The fairgrounds is behind us.
Yeah, I knew there was at some point.
And in fact, the soldiers from the Revolutionary War used to practice in the back there, like, before, I mean, our house wasn't built that field back there was the training ground for the Army, Continental Army.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Very cool.
This is good. Well, we just rely on that. In the front?
People feel similarly, they can just simply say, I concur with them, rather than
I think I'll get it. I think I'll get it.
time and time again. Same thing. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Absolutely. If they wanna talk, they can talk. Absolutely, absolutely. I'm not gonna cut anybody off. I just gotta make that.
Because you know, these folks,
Oh, I know, yeah.
Completely support 3 units. Yeah, yeah, it's just the excess where we are. Okey dokey. Where's Clear Lake? Where's that? I don't either. Yeah, you just rocked it. That's my plan, I think, because time. Although, yeah, we'll let Franklin look.
Stapling conflict there.
We ready to begin?
He's going for it.
Okay, let's roll it on in. Mr. Solicitor?
The final case this evening is case number 42-2023-Z-V. The applicant and owner of the subject property is Carmelo Cassiano of 830 Clare Lane, York, Pennsylvania. The subject property is located at 381 East Market Street, which address is located in the UN2 Urban Residential Neighborhood Zoning District of the City of York. Applicant seeks several variances to bring a multifamily dwelling into compliance with the zoning ordinance. First, applicant seeks a variance to permit up to 5 dwelling units, which density exceeds that allowed under the York City zoning ordinance. The applicant also requests a variance to relieve the applicant of any parking requirements associated with the subject property. The application was reviewed by the planning staff of the City of York. The planning staff recommends approval of the requested variances. The case was heard by the City of York Planning Commission on October 9th, 2023. By way of majority vote, the Planning Commission recommended approval of the requested variances. The record before the board this evening consists of the application itself, the deed to the subject property, an aerial view of the subject property, a page of floor plans, and 14 pages of photos of the subject property. Now, I just mentioned to Mr. Williams, I notice obviously that we are on the last case, and there is a bit of a crowd here this evening. Although I don't think that Mr. Williams has any intent to deny anybody an opportunity to speak, what I would say is that if what you have to say is substantially similar to what somebody else has to say, please just let us know that, okay? We don't need to hear the exact same thing from a number of different people. The board will take into account something to the effect of, I agree with Mr. Tate, or I agree with, so-and-so, okay?
That was his suggestion.
I've got kids at home.
But I didn't disagree. He wants to get home to hear the president, and I don't. Okay,
Before we start, you mentioned that there was a floor plan.
Did I mention that?
I thought you said something like floor plan, and I'm looking for it.
Yeah.
I don't see a floor plan in our package.
Right.
Hold on a
I see
minute.
a bunch of pictures and
I saw them, I saw them.
Floor plan?
I could be mistaken.
Well, I could too. I saw the pictures. But no floor plans.
okay, I just wanted to double check that.
Mr. Cassiano, did you submit a floor plan?
No floor plans. They were
Okay.
just pictures, which was.
Okay, I apologize. No floor plan.
Thank you.
Please give your full name and address for the record.
Carmelo Cassiano, 830 Clare Lane, York, PA 17402.
Thank you.
Spell your last name for me, please.
Casiano.
Thank you.
Okay, would you tell us what you would like to do with this property?
I'd like to bring it up to, I guess, code where be the 3 unit to 5 unit legally. And like I said, it's my first time doing something like this, so I'm not really sure what to say, but we bought the building and kind of went in, started doing some fixing flooring, painting, getting stuff up to par. And when I went down to the city to get the permits, getting rental permits, get inspections and stuff like that, they told me that I had to go through a zoning process, which that's why I'm here.
So now you bought it about 5 months ago,
Yes.
roughly. And was it marketed or was
It was marketed as 3 units. However, when we walked through, it was already configured like it was broken up in the 5 different units. So when we went in, we just started doing, flooring and painting and getting stuff, like I said, up to par. And when I went down to the city, they kind of told me how the process worked and what I was supposed to do. So I kind of stopped everything and got the process rolling, which 2 months later, we're here.
So it was legally a 3-unit,
Yes.
but it was operated before
Well, it was,
as,
when I bought it, it was vacant. So nobody was living there, I think, since maybe right around COVID. And like I said, nobody was living in there.
And is it currently occupied?
No.
Okay.
Couldn't, like I said, we're in the process of zoning, and you can't get, I guess, permits and licensing without.
How are the utilities currently set up?
Everything is separate. Each unit has electric and gas, and its own water.
So that's 5 units have separate meters?
Yes.
Where do the meters sit on the property?
They're in the backyard.
And are any of the other utilities separated?
I mean, all the utilities are separated, like the gas. The only thing we have is 2 hot water heaters in there, which feed the whole building, which it will be on the owner's meter.
So are you saying in the basement there are multiple gas meters?
Yes, multiple gas meters, multiple two water heaters that work in conjunction. And like I said, the stuff that's common area is owner's meter, water heaters, owner's meter.
Were the meters in there before you bought it? I mean, the gas meters, there was
Yeah,
5 gas
everything-
meters there and,
everything, right.
or 5 electric meters?
Right.
Because you actually probably have 6 gas meters? Yeah.
Well, there's like I said,
The owners?
the gas bill that we have to, is being heated by electric baseboard in each one. But then
Okay.
there is a gas that, kind of heats up radiator through the common hallway,
Right.
which is, again, is owner's meter. And like I said, everything that's common would be owner's meter, but in each unit would be baseboard heating, which is electric.
Okay. And one question, the units themselves, what are they? I mean, there's not really a description. Is there 1 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms?
They're 1 bedrooms.
They're all 1 bedroom?
Yeah, each have a kitchen, bathroom, and a bedroom.
Okay, I saw the
And
pictures.
some actually have like a living room area, so the bigger ones have like more room, like another room.
Okay.
Have you converted is this your first experience
This-
converting a house into a rental, or is this your first rental property, and is this your first conversion of a rental property?
It is not my first rental. I have different ones sprinkled out throughout the city. But this is the first time I had to go through this process to get, a 3 into a 5 or, any conversion like that.
what's the configuration of the, what is on the first floor, what's on the second floor, and the smaller 3rd floor? Is that,
Actually, 3rd floor is like the biggest unit because it was.
I'm sorry?
The 3rd floor is like the biggest unit, or somewhat, because there's two units on the 1st floor, 2 units on the 2nd floor, and 1 on the 3rd floor.
I sort of figured that probably was the case.
We might as well raise this off the bat, the parking situation.
Parking situation, it was brought up last time, and I understand, you know, like I said, I'm born and raised in New York City, so I've lived on Philadelphia Street. Parking is not what everybody expects it to be when you live down there. But since I bought the building, I've stopped over, morning time, noon time, evening time, nighttime, just see kind of what's available as far as parking. You may not be able to park in front of the building, which, throughout the city you can't, but there's always, parking throughout the, I say 3-block radius. 'Cause there's Market Street, there's Broad Street, and there's Columbia Avenue. So there's probably about, I don't know, maybe 5 blocks within 100 yards, 200 yards that you can find a parking spot.
Columbia Avenue, I think, just has parking on one side of the street where the houses
that's
are.
correct.
Do you
That's
agree?
So when you bought this place, it was 3 bedrooms, potential, it was already 5 units. When I should have said 3. When you bought the place, it was sold as 3 apartments, and when you took it over, was there actually 5 in there?
It was configured as 5 already. Like I said, all we did was we went in, and again, the situation was we went in, started cleaning stuff out, started getting, walls painted, carpet ripped out. And as I went, like I said, the thing was, I started working on it, and as I went to the city to ask for permits and ask for inspection, they kind of gave me this is the process, and this is how you have to do it to
Okay.
make it the right way. So we had, obviously we had to stop. And I don't think we had to stop, but we definitely couldn't rent it out or do anything until you get the zoning property.
Okay.
Is there any access to the backyard from an alley?
Not
or
from
a
the alley.
road?
There's a breezeway that you can get in through on the side of the house.
Do you own the breezeway, or does the neighboring property own the breezeway?
The neighboring properties, they have their own breezeway, and we have one.
Okay. So the back of the deed says that it goes to an alley. Like it says that your property goes, but maybe that has since been filled in. It says, right angles East Market Street. Odd.
I thought there was a house right behind it. I mean, I could be
Eastwardly
wrong.
along said alley. So, I didn't know. What's at the back of your property? Is it just a
Back
fence?
of the property is a long yard, and then there's a fence back there.
The fence.
Yeah.
What's on the other side of the fence?
It appears to be another house on a Broad Street.
Okay.
Broad Street, yeah.
So something was built at a later time that,
I'm not sure.
Landlocks
I'm
you.
not sure when it was built.
okay, got it. Thanks. So no parking. And when it was a 3-unit, it would have needed 4 or 5 parking spaces at that time,
And it was approved for that.
and got approved for the 5.
Zoning was for 3 bedrooms.
Exception.
Approved for 3, correct? 3 and
Approved
5.
for 3 units. Okay.
Yeah, I had waived for 5 apartments.
Looks like the house was in decent shape when you bought it.
Yeah, it's pretty
Yeah.
good shape.
Yeah.
And the renovations look nice,
Thank you.
but the parking is definitely a challenge. It's already,
I did actually, I mean, a lot of folks that I rent to now, like I said, my current properties that I own, there are, a majority of them don't have vehicles, so a lot of them get to, walking. The good thing is, from prior meeting, I guess, one of the panel brought up that the bus route is right across, right on Market Street, so, that's always an option. But like I said, I've always stopped by and, you know, different times of the day, and kind of seen that there was available parking.
I don't have any more questions.
Okay. I don't have to ask if there's anyone in the audience who wishes to. As you wish, ask questions of the applicant, who will please stay fairly close to the podium. I mean.
So let me just jump in. The way that we'd like to handle this is that while the applicant is here testifying, if anybody has questions that they'd like to ask of the applicant, feel free to do so. And then after that, what we'll do is we'll allow anybody else who wishes to offer testimony of their own that opportunity, and the applicant can then ask you questions, okay? So that's kind of how we'd like to take this in order.
Good. Good. Ms. Bergeser?
Mr. Cassiano, I'm sorry. So they're going to, right now, they're going to ask you questions. So if you could just kind of stay up here to answer those questions, that would be good.
I hope you can hear me through the mask. I'm being very cautious with age and asthma. My first question is, I heard you did not submit a floor plan. Is there some reason you did not?
Like I said, I wasn't told to submit a floor plan. I submitted what they asked, so that's exactly what, you know, what I gave them.
Does anyone know what the square footage of this building is? It's not one of the grand houses, but it was a single-family home.
The square footage, like I said, I don't have the information in front of me, but again, it's a pretty big building. So it's, you know, it's not a single family home. It's a three.
Well, no, I'm saying
Okay.
originally.
Okay.
I know that it's been multifamily when it was permitted. Now, of course, that isn't even permitted, that many under current zoning. The reason I'm asking about the square footage is with 5 apartments, there is square footage requirements in the zoning.
And I can give you each apartment if that's what you're asking.
And I'm sorry, just so we can get it on the record, ma'am, could you just state your name and your address?
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Joan Bergeser, Burgass as in Sam, ER, 321 East Market Street.
Thanks.
So I am a neighbor, and that's why I'm very concerned about the neighborhood. I don't know, you were going to,
Yeah, I'm going to check the square footage of the building, if that's what you're looking for.
pardon?
Was that you're looking for the square footage of
Well,
the
I was
building?
asking if it was submitted in a floor plan rather than just you saying what.
Oh, okay.
Pardon? You were asking the size of each apartment. Yes, but the overall square footage of the building would help too. You divide that by.
Yeah, I mean,
What is the overall square footage of each
well, the,
apartment?
apartment 1 is 400 square feet. Apartment 2,
How big?
400 square feet.
Okay,
Apartment 2 is 534.
okay,
Apartment 3 is 444.
yes,
Apartment 4 is 452.
all right.
And apartment 5 is 514.
It is my understanding that the zoning requirements for apartments to begin with is 600 square feet.
Not according to the chart that was given by York City.
Monty, have you looked into the size of the apartments?
No, we did not look into the size of the apartments. They was the BCO and all that was going to do that when they did the inspections. They just told us to hold off and see what y'all say here. And then when he has his initial inspection for his C of O, that's when they was going to check all that.
That is part of zoning, and the reason I'm asking that is when the Baker building was rehabbed into apartments, they had some studio apartment less than 600 square feet. The architect had to change the plans in order to make them fit zoning. A 400 square foot apartment is obviously, well, none of them are 600 square feet.
Again, with the chart that York City has is totally different, so, I mean,
Well, you know, I guess I'll ask the zoning hearing board. I should have looked it up before I came, but I was thinking that when I was sitting here.
I found it, Joan. In, the zoning 1.02.002, under 1304.01, it does have, the habitable floor area. And it says that minimum habitable floor area square footage for an efficiency is 400 square feet, and then a one-bedroom starts at 550. 550, so based on, and thank you for having the
UN2 area,
square,
or is that in the mixed-use area?
this is just multiple family dwellings.
Yeah, so we actually don't have in this zoning ordinance a specific section for just multifamily dwellings, to the best of my recollection. So what we have to do is we have to rely on the closest thing that we have, which is basically multifamily dwellings conversion from a different use. So in other words, if somebody was going to convert a industrial building to a multifamily dwelling, the numbers that Ms. Buck just gave you are accurate. And so again, it would be for an efficiency, it would be 400 square feet, and for a one bedroom, 550. And again, that's about as close as we can get because it's lacking a standard multifamily dwelling section in the zoning ordinance.
And actually, 5 units do not fit the neighborhood of UN2. Our neighborhood, the 2 blocks, 200 and 300 block, are probably considered the nicest in York, with more single-family owners who are not users, as renters are, but they are investing in the property and making sure that it works. I'm very concerned about the size of the units and how many people are going to get stuffed in. It doesn't fit the neighborhood.
if I can answer that, the building is no different than, the configuration is no different than if it were 2-bedroom or a 2-bedroom second floor and 1 bedroom on second floor or third floor. You're not going to stuff any more people in those apartments than you would have prior. Does that make sense?
I guess if you had the 3 previous apartments could have been individuals, in theory.
But in theory, if you have a 2-bedroom apartment, you have a family, you have kids, then you have a bunch of other stuff going on.
Maybe.
If you know, so yeah, so yeah, I get it.
I follow you, too.
Brian?
Mr. Tate, I'm sorry, could you just, yep.
I'm Brian Tate, I live at 377 East Market Street, so I am right next door to the property we're discussing. Mr. Cassiano, I wanted to ask you if the previous owner said had already converted the building into 5 apartments. Do you know for a fact that he was renting 5 apartments?
No, like I said, it was, when I bought it, it was vacant, so I don't know what the prior usage, what he had or what he had going on.
I live next door. I've watched that property for 14 years. I can tell you there were not 5 apartments. It could be that when the building went vacant, that he started to convert it to 5 apartments, but it had not been rented as 5 apartments.
You told me it was one family. I guess last meeting.
It used to be
Okay.
a one-family
All right.
Yes.
So there was multiple,
So as long as I have been living there, it's been a three
okay.
apartment building, yes. Can you tell me, did you get a building permit before you started the work that you started doing at the property?
Some of the flooring and moving some of the stuff out the way I did not. When I did go down to the city, that's when they told me that the zoning would be the first thing to do instead of the permits to get started.
So I do have a question about the process. I'm concerned about the process when people are rehabilitating properties in the city, why they aren't required to first get a building permit. And then when they get that building permit, why would the city not advise what the process is for different types of buildings in different parts of the city, following the zoning ordinance, but then also taking the step to instruct folks to make sure that these situations don't happen. So I do have that concern.
Monty, do you want to speak to that a little bit?
Yes, well, when he came down to get it licensed and to get the permits, they said the building was only supposed to be 3 units. So once it's only supposed to be 3 units, they will not issue any permits until he come to the zoning hearing board and get approval to have 5 units. So we're not making him spend extra money fixing up a place that he probably can't even rent. So he has to wait until he gets the approval through here before he can get his permits and everything.
Thank you, and I appreciate knowing that. I guess then my point is, folks should not start renovating until they get their building permit and do it the right way.
Who would like to, any questions for the applicant? Yes, ma'am. Please come to the podium.
And if you could just start with your name and address.
Carol Shins, lived at SCHINTZ. I lived at 249 East Market for 45 years. I'm here in support because I like this neighborhood and I would like it to stay, fine neighborhood instead of absentee landlords. And so we're already in that, and I think that containing it to 3 apartments is a reasonable solution.
Anyone else?
Process of asking questions of the applicant, or are we now into?
Anyone else with questions?
I actually have a question for the neighborhood. How has this property been kept in the future, in the past? Has it, have the tenants been great? Has everything gone well? How did that situation look in the past?
It's been awful. The former owner, Mr. Grisham, has been an absentee landlord. My husband and I have filed numerous complaints with the city of York because of trash, because of vermin, because of comings and goings, lack of ensuring that the property is kept up, lack of security and safety of the property. I'm sure if you check the police logs, there have been fights and constant problems at that property. When we saw that it was for sale, we were thrilled. And Mr. Grisham should be ashamed of himself because he's a city police chief in Washington, D.C. And the fact that he was running this type of an establishment for years while telling other people how to keep law and order is a crime in and of itself. So I'm not surprised that he was illegally converting a 3-apartment building into a 5-apartment building under everybody's noses, but it doesn't mean that we should just automatically allow that to happen just because he went through some steps. I think we need to uphold the zoning ordinance. Thank you.
I can tell you, like I said, I live 5 minutes away, 10 minutes away from this property. I have properties in the city. I maintain all my properties I would live in. And I can tell you, I don't have the riffraff running in and out of my apartments, because that looks bad on me. So I work for MedEd, which I work in this community. I live in this community, and again, I'm born and raised in York. So the fist fights or police logs and trash, that's not going to happen under my watch if that's what happened. Again, I have a 3-unit on King Street. I have a 2-unit on Pennsylvania Avenue, and I have multiple single units all throughout York. And the typical, somebody put their trash out too early is probably the only thing that they can see on these properties, and I address that with my tenants as soon as possible. It's to the point where, I'm one of those landlords that I have a trailer. When somebody sticks a mattress outside, I go pick it up with my trailer, use my money to go put it at the dump. So it's not an absentee landlord. I live, like I said, 10 minutes from that property. So I can be there in an instant. It's not, and my track record with the properties I have now is not, again, it's not riffraff. So it's an investment for me. And again, I treat my investments, as if, they're my babies. So.
Yeah, it sounds like the property's on the right track. The hurdle that I'm going to have to jump before we do something like this is these neighbors have seen a property that has had, some pretty tough times from the way it sounds. Would everyone, has that property been an issue for everyone who knows it, or?
This is all new to me. The last meeting we had was about parking, which again, I get it. I lived, born and raised in York, and I lived on Market Street for on Philadelphia Street for a while, and before I bought my house. And it was jockeying for parking spots, which it's like that in the city.
Are you going to be able to do all right renting it as a 3-unit?
That means I have to spend money on tearing walls back down. I guess that were already put up. Like I said, I went in and started fixing things up, paint, putting, replacing things that were already in with newer stuff, and that's going to be the problem.
Yeah,
So just to keep, just to reiterate, each apartment has its own bathroom, kitchen,
Gotcha.
everything.
Right.
So it's
Yeah. So in my mind, it would be hard to take a property that has had trouble in the past and say, okay, let's throw a couple of more units in there. That being said, it sounds like you're going to be a pretty good neighbor. And, maybe if you work together with your neighbors over whatever period of time, maybe you guys can.
I'm always open, and again, I'm the type of guy, I would see him come home from work. I'm parked out front with my trailer, putting things in, and I'm, give me a minute and I'll move out your way. You can park in front of your house. That's the way I operate. Like I said, I'm that type of guy. I'm not looking for any fights. I'm not looking to be on the bad side or it's unfortunate that I had to go through this situation again. But at the end of the day, I spent my hard-earned money on that building just like everybody else did.
Yeah, my hang-up is going to be problem property in the past, 3 tenants. We're going to have to give it some time to see if it can actually. We don't want to put a 5-tenant stamp on a 3-tenant problem property from the past, if that makes any sense. At least I don't.
Yeah, and I get that, but the tenants, again, tenants in the past are not the
Makes
same
sense.
tenants that I deal with. So, again, if the other owner lived out of state, that is a problem. That's a big problem. And I kind of cringe at, absentee landlords who, even guys that leave it up to management companies around here, because management companies don't really deal with it with kid gloves. Again, it's my investment. I'm not a rental property, and I'm not a management company. I do my own stuff. I tend to, I'm there.
As a reminder, so one of our constraints is the fact that if we approve a 5-unit, that goes with the building. It doesn't go with the landlord or the owner. So for example, if we approve that, you could, in theory, at some point sell it, and then it's a 5, and it stays a 5 until, I don't know how that changes. So it's more than just you, because you do sound responsible and all of that, and so it's not you, it's the property.
Yeah. I get it. And like I said,
Okay.
I don't mean to cut you off, but
Yeah.
I look at the block. I look up and down the block. it's probably 20% single-family homes. The rest of them are apartment buildings and businesses. So, like I said, it's the block where the YMCA is on, or YWCA is on. So it's a lot of churches. You got, you know, YWCA. So, you know, I'm kind of,
I can tell you there are at least 10 single-family on the south side of East Market Street. At least 10 single-family interspersed with the Y and the church.
and there are a
then
lot
the
of
end
apartment
units are
buildings.
multis.
Yeah.
The end. Now, actually, there's only one. 302 is an apartment, and then the one beside the parking lot is an apartment, and then the two at the end of the block. So that's on the south side of the street. I live around the corner, so I'm familiar with the block. On the north side, there may be more that are divided into multi-units, but then again, that means we already have increased our density, right? We already have more than there were originally because things have been cut up. So I'm okay with a mix of density. We don't have to be all single-family units on the block, but if we have too many units, the density gets too high for the neighborhood, the character of the neighborhood, and parking and trash, et cetera. So I fall on that. So the density issue, looking at how
And I-
tight is it already, right? And if you want to add 5 efficiency apartments in a landlocked property, that's everybody coming in and out of the front door.
Well,
It can be a variety of different
Yeah, there's
number
different
of people,
entrances.
but yeah.
Yeah, and then, like I said, I usually put the big garbage bins out back. We throw all the trash in. I mean, that's the type of landlord I am. A lot of landlords don't do that. I put the big ones in, you know, for about $100 trash cans. I put 3 of them out back, and you can fill them up and take them out. So
I think you'd be a great landlord, so I guess it's like I said, it's the building and the density and what fits with the neighborhood for me, so.
I got a little problem with the square footage still. The definition between a one-bedroom and an efficiency is, there's a fine line there, and I believe yours are in the definition of one-bedrooms, not efficiencies. So they're supposed to be 550 square foot. None of yours are. So I feel like, to me, an efficiency is almost just a room with a kitchen and a bedroom in it, and that's an efficiency.
and that's sort of
And a bathroom.
Yeah.
And you have separate rooms that are bedrooms, based on your pictures. I mean, I have no floor plan to check out, so I just can't really see how the square footage is on this place. But it just seems like if it was three apartments, and I'm sorry you put money into it, to make it 5, because that's what it seemed like the other guy was doing for it. I have a real problem with the 5 being that small and not meeting the zoning ordinance of a one-bedroom apartment. They're just too tiny. So, and the other part of this, the story is, now we're giving this building a waiver for 8 parking spots. It already has a waiver for 5. So it's just, it seems like an excessive amount of granting of variances and ordinances for this building.
Again, in my head, I could live with square footage differences, things like that. What I have trouble doing is if there's a neighborhood that's seen problems in a property, increasing the density of that property. And again, you might come back a year from now and your neighbors are saying, he's been the greatest landlord in the world, and I think maybe this guy can make this work. I don't know, but in my head, that's what needs to be worked out, because if neighbors aren't on the same page, it's just not a good situation from the start. So I just have trouble putting that 5 stamp on a 3 when it's been such an issue in the past. And it sounds like this fella did a little bit of work during COVID that he might not have should have done. And it sounds like you might have got the raw end of that deal. But I think maybe you got a chance of getting it around to, you know, what it needs to be. It sounds like you're gonna be a great landlord, and, you know, maybe it can happen down the road. That's just my opinion. That's in my head. But
I'd just like to add, after hearing, putting a 5 stamp of approval on a 3 something, or I forget the exact words, but I think we don't know, we have no way of knowing, since the conversion from 3 apartments to 5 was illegal. So we have no way of knowing how long ago that happened. So the problems that the neighbors have experienced, and I believe them, during these years past, were coming from a building that was illegally 5 apartments, apparently, at some point in the however many years. And the, you know, the bad behavior of tenants resulted from the grossly bad behavior of the owner, not the building itself. There's no point, you can't blame the building. It wasn't the building doing it, it was the owner who was either doing it or allowing it. And the neighbors are not wrong to, you know, when you live through something like that, right next door to it, you can't be expected to forgive and forget in a month, or a week, a month, or a year. And I'm wondering if, you know, might it be worth considering? I'm not so concerned about what's inside the building as I am about the density and the parking and all that. But if I don't know if there'd be any traction to be gained by considering splitting the difference, splitting the cutting making the second floor. You know, you can have a 2-bathroom apartment, and you can even have a 2-kitchen apartment. Some people would go for it. And let the first floor as it is, and rent the second floor as 1 apartment, and then the third floor is 1 apartment. And just a thought. I'm a great believer in compromise, of course, not compromise between good and sheer evil, but sometimes when it involves numbers and not good and evil, then sometimes a compromise is a worthwhile possibility. You know, we just approved last month converting, I guess, to 12 apartments, a building that was totally landlocked, had absolutely no parking of its own, for 12 apartments. And if it doesn't work, you know, I mean, people are not going to just leave their cars sit on the street. The owners will just have to lower the rents to the point where people will say, that apartment for $750 a month, even if we have to park a half a block or a block away.
Can we ask if there's anybody here in support of conversion to 5 units and wants to speak? Okay. I think. Okay.
You want it, yeah, you want it.
Yeah. So I am hearing some conversation about not holding a new owner responsible for a past owner's bad behavior, but I do want to ask, included in the application, is there a picture of the backyard? Would you describe what the backyard looks like currently, specifically the back patio?
It's an old back patio. Again, I stopped working on it after they told us to get, zoning. But it's an old back patio, and then it has, beyond the patio, it's a, I guess, yard.
Sure, what's on the patio currently?
I mean,
You know what I mean? It's covered in garbage. It's been covered in garbage for
Right.
the 5 months that you've been working on
Right.
on the building. That's my view. My back
see,
door.
but that's what I'm saying. I think,
When's that going to be cleaned up?
I can clear that up tomorrow. It's not a big deal. What I'm saying is I stopped working on the building once I had to get the zoning done. That building would have been up and running if it was a faster process, but this process we're, 2 months without doing anything. And you've seen me.
Hold on, guys, hold on, sorry, one at a time so that she can take everything down.
Yeah.
You're asking me
Yeah.
and our neighbors to trust you as a landlord who's new to the neighborhood, who has experience being a landlord. My experience for the past 5 months has been a garbage pile on the back patio that hasn't been cleaned up.
You,
So is that what I'm supposed to project is going to be the situation going forward?
that was actually, again, the stuff that I was taking out. You've seen me there. I mean,
I know, and you're a very kind person, but I'm talking about.
I've taken my trailer and I've removed stuff every time carpets are taken out, flooring was taken out, and that's what's left over after they told me I had to get permitting. I mean, I had to get zoning.
But it's still garbage.
I can go.
It's laying there
Right.
for months.
Right. So,
That impacts the neighborhood in a bad way. It attracts vermin. It attracts, it's not a good.
well, it's actually scrap metal. I get it.
It doesn't matter.
Right.
It's garbage.
So,
It needs to go.
I mean, I get it. You paint the picture of whatever you want to paint, but at the end of the day,
I'm not
you
painting a
know,
picture,
you
I'm
know,
telling reality.
you see me out there with the trailer, and I've been hauling stuff away, and I've been taking care of everything. It's not. It's
Is this the first conversation about the garbage in the back?
yes.
No,
Okay.
it's not. We had a conversation about the garbage that was piled in front that has damaged our light post. You and I talked about that.
Well, again,
My husband had a conversation
right.
about the
You
garbage
said
in the
no.
back.
Wait.
You said it was going to be
You s-
hauled away.
You have to speak one at a time.
Okay.
You told my husband it was going to be hauled away. It hasn't yet been hauled away.
What are you talking about? Which?
My husband,
No,
the
what-
other gentleman who lives in the house with me,
I mean, what garbage are you talking about? I don't.
everything that's piled on the back porch.
There's stuff
He
back there
asked you
from the stuff that we took out the house. There's stuff back there. Yes.
Is it going to be reused in the property?
No, it's not.
It's
It's going to scrap metal. It's,
Yeah, I don't want this to devolve into an argument. I think, the question was asked from one of the members, is there any, I guess what I would say at this point is, A, do the members feel that any more testimony or inquiry is necessary? Or B, does anybody have anything new that they feel is relevant to bring up?
I don't, and,
Joan has her hand up.
Joan?
Yes, one thing that I don't believe has been addressed enough, and my neighbors, I think, will agree with me, is this parking. Parking is a problem on Market Street, and you can't gloss over it. To increase the density, even now, with 3 apartments, and it was 3 apartments advertised, and you bought it as 3 apartments, and now suddenly it's 5. Even with 3 apartments, it was a lot of parking. And there is no ability to rent spaces at Asbury Church or the YWCA uses it. And that's a real concern of mine. For example, tonight, we have street sweeping. We all gotta move our car from one side to another. And to have 4, and especially 5 apartments, is just increasing that problem for all of us. And I am concerned, it was advertised as 3, and you bought it as 3.
I don't want to take your opportunity to respond, but be careful, because I live in the 500 block of West Market Street, and it's getting progressively more difficult for parking. And many of us have 2 off-street parking spaces at the back. Can I ask either, is it all right for, you gonna stop me? No.
You're the boss.
I'd like to ask either Brian or Joan, if any of, I stopped the other day to look at 381, and I thought, well, my God, it's right beside you. And I always look at your house and going by. Do any of the people living on your side of the street, because that's what we're here about, is there any off-street parking at the rear of any of the properties in your block?
So 383, which is on the corner, has no parking except for the 6 garages it owns, but that owner rents out all 6 of those garages to other people.
Right.
381 has no parking, does not have access to the alley. 377, we have no access to the alley, we have no parking. The next house, 375, does, but they choose to park in front. 373 parks 1 vehicle in the back and 1 vehicle in front. The next 2 properties are apartments. They have a dirt patch in the back that goes to the alley. There people all choose to park in the front and operate an illegal car washing business on the street, which draws more cars to come there every day. The next 2 buildings are single-family homes. They're small. The one has no car, the other, they park their car in front. The next is an apartment building with no parking, so those folks don't have parking. I mean, you can see where this is going. There is no parking. Everybody wants to park on Market Street in front of their building, and you basically got 1 spot in front of each building. There's nowhere for all these cars to go. The parking on Broad Street, all the people who live on Broad Street, that's where they park. There's just not space.
Yeah. There's a gentleman with his hand up, and he hasn't been heard from yet.
My name is Peter.
Please come to the podium.
My name is Peter Worley. I live in 29 South Pine Street, which is in the YWCA area. And what no one has talked about that pertains to parking is Asbury Church and the YWCA have upped their game every year since I've lived there since '84.
What does that mean about a church, up their game?
They are employing more people there. More business kind of opportunity happens there. Childcare, school, all of that. That the parking on my side of the street is impossible at this point. No variances were needed for any of those things. They're all like good for the community, so everybody, and the parking is just an everyday fight. So you can't come to our side of the street. That's the point.
Yeah, thank you. And Elizabeth, I'm sure you can relate to Mr. Worley's,
We have another comment.
I'm sorry?
We have another comment out.
Comment, yes, please. Please come to the podium, or you won't be heard by the TV Aussie audience.
I'm Ann Gieselbach. I live at 370, which is the opposite, almost directly opposite. Just wanted to speak again. Parking is an issue. More during the day, I think. There's often activity going on Broad Street, so that is frequently full. And on Saturdays, there is a beauty salon that often has almost our whole side of the street full. I would say in the 16 years we have been there, parking has become significantly more challenging the past maybe 5.
Got a hand up.
My name's Dave Newby. I live on 21 South Pine. In addition, everybody's been correct. The parking on Pine is heinous. I'm a teacher here in the city. I get off at 3:30. When I come home, I have to park illegally over at the Historical Society because there's no spaces. Reineke is the other next block over. I hate to say it, but between the Y, the church, and a few other groups, there just isn't any parking in that area either. As much as I would like to say that we have the space, because sometimes we do need the housing and such, it's just not feasible for the community in general. Thank you.
Any other where are we now? Questions or comments?
I think it's,
Or either?
we're either.
Okay, I think we're at the point that I described a few meetings ago where I said I think we could talk about this for 2 hours and we still wouldn't have everybody on board with the same. 2 possibilities occur to me. My vision isn't quite improved enough to see smiles or scowls, but I didn't hear any moans or applause when I suggested the possibility of a compromise to 4 units. Another possibility that occurs to me is that we could just deny the requested variances and had a lot of names to deal with this evening. We could just let Mr. Cassiano have 6 months or a year or some such length of time to prove that he not only talks the talk, he walks the walk, and that he is, as someone put it, one of the best landlords in York, and come back and I guess there's no legal bar to him applying again, and he might have more acceptance or support from his neighbors. And every time folks from your neighborhood come in and raise Cain about a proposal, and whether it's something I can support or can't, I always say, you know, and I mean it, your neighborhood is worth fighting for. It's worth caring about. It really is one of the treasures of the city. And so those are 2 thoughts of mine. I could support either one.
The 4 units doesn't change the parking issue. I mean, I'm sorry, I don't agree with that at all anymore. So with what I'm hearing from the crowd, that the parking is atrocious. Changing it from 3 to 4 is, you know, you're gonna need 6, we're waiving 6 then instead of 5 or whatever would work out to be, instead of 8, so I disagree with that.
I like the idea of compromising, but I do think that, and I also liked the thought about giving him a year's worth or time to show he's a good landlord. But at the end of the day, I remember that it's the building, and he could sell it in you know, in that time and then let somebody else come, but the parking is, yeah, the density and the parking are just rather difficult. As you said, it's a neighborhood worth fighting for, and to add 2 extra units at this point with 3 extra parking spots, when it doesn't seem like there is enough space for that right now, so.
Adam?
I've said what I can say.
Sina?
I just need to go on record and say, I think any neighborhood should be worth fighting for. Shouldn't
Absolutely.
be just one.
Absolutely.
I
Let me
will
retract
also,
that. I apologize.
it was said twice. I would also like to say that, parking is an issue in York City, period. Whenever you go into a city, it's going to be a problem. If you live in a county area where the houses are more spaced out and you're in your suburb areas where they have carports and stuff, you don't have that problem. Whenever you cross into the threshold of the city, anywhere, parking is always going to be an issue. It's sad that it ends up being an issue for us to make decisions for property owners and neighbors to get along, but that is something that is going to continue to happen in the city. I do feel sorry for you that you came into this situation, buying a property, and we have had this come before us so many times where people are buying properties and it's listed one way, and then they get in there and start finding out something different. It's kind of sad that this is set up with all the proper things to have it as a 5-unit, and you're more or less going to be asked to knock it back down to the 3 and tearing out walls and stuff and anything that you may have done. I will say it's good to see a community or a neighborhood to come out and support so much on this particular house. I just hope that we can come up to something that will work for you, to benefit you in this process, since you were not duly diligently done in the way you bought this property. That's all I have to say.
Just to clarify, does anything actually have to be done to the property from this point? Should we deny the 5-unit? I mean, it can stay as is, correct?
He can't get permits to do any work on it.
Well, he can't, right, but I'm seeing
Anyway, won't be
a
inspected.
perfectly functional property, he can inspect it for 3 units, correct? So,
think.
no walls need to be
Correct.
knocked down. He can,
But he can't rent it for 5.
correct, yeah. Okay, all right, I was confused on that.
And I want to thank you, Sina, for adding to my comment. Yes, I do think every neighborhood in the city is worth fighting for. It's just that I was speaking to these people, and we see them regularly when their neighborhood is the subject of a case. And unfortunately, we don't see people from some neighborhoods, hardly ever. I would be prepared to, make a motion. Only after, only after I remind you, Mr. Cassiano, about my idea of proving to your neighbors that you're the best landlord. I think after what they've been through, they deserve it. But I move that in the case of application number 42-2023-Z-V-SE regarding the property at 381 East Market Street, I move that we deny the dimensional variance for multifamily conversion from a different use. found in section 1304.01-1.02.002.
I'll second.
It's been moved by Williams, seconded by Adam? By Mr. Nugent to deny the variance for a dimensional variance. Calling for the vote, Ms. Jenkins?
Nay.
Jenkins was nay. Mr. Nugent?
Aye.
Nugent, aye. Mr. Holman?
Aye.
Holman, aye. Ms. Bupp?
Aye.
Bupp, aye. And Williams, aye. And I move that we deny also at the property of 381 East Market Street, I move that we deny the variance to the required 8 off-street parking spaces found in section 1304.01-1.02.002.
Aye. I'm sorry, second.
It's been moved by Williams, seconded by Nugent, to deny the variance to the parking requirement, calling for the vote. Ms. Jenkins?
Can I just clarify one thing there? Monty, what's the number? You may have an issue with a pre-existing non-conforming, okay? What's the number that's required for 3?
2 extra units, you mean?
1.5
Parking
each,
spots?
right?
5. You have 3 units, you have 5.
1.5.
If you have 5 units, it's 8.
Okay. And the reason I ask is because, Monty, is there a pre-existing nonconformity with the parking spaces for the 5 parking spaces? Does that make sense, what I'm asking? I mean, how many was it? In other words, is the use for 3 with no parking spaces grandfathered in? I think that if it is, I think you should make that clear. Monty, I believe that it is.
Right, he's approved for 3 apartments with 5 parking spots.
Right.
There, wait.
Yeah,
Which is why the motion
okay. I
specified.
just want to make sure that, yeah.
So maybe the motion should be something about 3 additional.
Correct.
Okay?
That's right, yes,
Okay.
exactly.
What we're about to deny the gentleman is all
I
of it,
withdraw.
and that's not what we're gonna
Correct,
say.
right, exactly, yeah.
I withdraw. Regarding the property at 381 East Market Street, I move that we deny the variance increasing, that we deny a variance to relieve the parking requirement beyond the already approved 5 spaces.
That's fine. That's fine.
Okay?
I'll
And
second.
Still second?
Yeah.
Okay, it's been moved by Williams, seconded by Mr. Nugent, to deny the variance to the parking requirement beyond the already approved 5 spaces. Calling for the vote, Ms. Jenkins?
Nay.
Jenkins, nay. Mr. Nugent?
Aye.
Mr. Holman?
Aye.
Holman, aye. Ms. Bupp?
Aye.
Bupp, aye. And Williams, aye. And I don't know, you're young, you're creative, you're a hard worker. I don't think you need sympathy. I think you need encouragement, because I have every confidence in your ability to make this work. I do. But But, you know, we, believe me, we gave you a fair hearing. And I honestly believe that, I know that. But we can't disregard these people who are trying to live in this neighborhood that is such a beautiful treasure, but, I mean, we can't expect them to park 2 or 3 or 4 blocks away. They're not all spring chickens either, and I know how it feels. Good luck. Good luck.
Thank you.
We're adjourned, but please